Yes, ma'am, I
I
have asked.
Okay, I just told you that Heart of Darkness, which is written by Joseph Conrad, and we have already discussed that it is written in the backdrop of post-colonial literature or post-colonialism when England was making different colonies all around the world. Okay, so we know that it is written. Girls, please turn off your microphones. I get disturbed. Please, everyone, put your microphone on mute. Sajida Qayyum, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So it is basically divided. It's a novella. Novella is a short form of novel. Okay. It is not more than 128 pages and divided into three parts. And this was basically published in a magazine in three episodes. So I told you that it is the first part, as it is divided into three parts. The first part talks about Marlowe, how he was appointed by the Belgian company to go to Congo. And the second part, it discusses his first encounter with the people of Congo, with the Africans. Okay. And then the third part, we know that it is not only that Marlowe is going there for trade as a representative of this company. He has another reason for going to Congo as well, that is to find Kurds who has just disappeared. And we know that Kurtz is a very significant person because he was the one who was very good at ivory trade, and he was bringing the colony a lot of ivory thing. He was the one from his area, they used to send a lot of ivory. So he was the one who was very much beneficial for them, and all of a sudden he was going missing. Okay, so that is what is discussed in the third part. So today we are going to discuss the first part, which is the travel of Marlowe, and then how does he encounter the Africans for the very first time, and what type of life the Africans are, living, and how do they suffer on the hands of the colonizers. This is what we are going to discuss today. I want you to just come to the book. Okay, I'm going to share my screen with you girls. Can you see the screen and the book?
Yes,
Everyone?
ma'am. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Okay, so first part, we come to know, in the first part of this novella, we come to know that Marlowe is going to travel to Congo, okay, as an officer of that Belgian company. And we find him on Thames River. And we find that there are some four more people with him. And one of them is the narrator. Now, one thing which is very much important in here is that it is a frame, like it is a postmodern technique of writing. This novel is written in a postmodern technique of writing. That is, we call it Chinese boxes technique, or we also call it story within a story. Okay, so there is one narrator who is telling the story, and with that narrator, another person who is standing there, that is Charles Marlowe. He tells him something, and the narrator gives the whole story to Marlowe now. And then we come to know about Marlowe's life. Like on the boat, he tells us that how, when as a child, he was, very much fantasized with sea travel. So he used to take maps from different shops and used to search different places on the map. And as a child, even he decided that he used to highlight those places that I want to go to these places. Okay. So this is what is his passion since his childhood. But now, when we find him not only a traveler, but a representative of the colony. Now, remember one thing, colony is very much important because this is the time when England is making colonies everywhere. Okay. So he is a representative of the empire as well. So he is not going there as an individual only. He is going to take a burden on his shoulder. And what is that burden about? To practice each and everything that is instructed to him. And what is that practice? To civilize the native. And who is the native? The African. Okay, so basically this is all about that, and in which technique it is. The technique is Chinese boxes techniques, that there is a story and within that story we find another story. So two stories are going on. Okay, so the unnamed narrator then gives the story to Marlowe, and then Marlowe narrates his whole story. When he is sitting on the ship, he while traveling, he thinks of the Romans, that how the Romans have come to this place, and how they have conquered different places, what type of experiences they were having. And at the same time, we find Charles Marlowe, who is a mouthpiece of Joseph Conrad. And I told you in my first lecture that this is not an imaginative story. It is a well-researched story, which is written by Conrad. He has traveled from Thames to Congo to see each and everything, and he has gone to Congo. Okay, so it's a well-researched, deliberate book or story written by him. So we find that Marlowe, as a mouthpiece of Conrad, is sometimes we find him taking side of the colonizers by using very derogatory objectives for the natives. But on the other hand, then we find Charles Marlowe, he is also showing us a picture of Africans and the brutal picture of the colonizers. So we cannot decide that either Marlowe is on the side of the empire, that is the European power, or the natives, which is the colony, the Africans. Okay, is it clear to you girls? So he's thinking of the Romans while sitting on that boat and traveling, that how those Romans were having a kind of uncomfortable life for the reason that they migrated, they left their own place and went to a native place where they made that native place as their colony. But it was, everyone says that it was a brutal practice that they made a colony. But Marlowe says that if we look from the side of the Romans, it was also difficult for them as well. Why was it difficult for them? Because they left their home, they left their children, they went there. The life there was not very much easy. It was not that much comfortable as their own place back there in their country was. Okay, I hope it is clear to you girls, right? So now we find Marlowe while he is contemplating about different things. And then we find him that in this part, we find him that he has finally reached one station. Okay. And when he reaches there for the very first time, it is his first encounter with the Africans. For the very first time, he sees the Africans. And let's see how does he see them and what type of Africans were there. Okay. Now, after the travel from Thames to Congo, where he has encountered a lot of hardships, the travel through sea is not very much easy. Okay. So after encountering a lot of problems while he has reached here, and let's see now what type of people he finds here. Okay. Now Marlowe is saying it is, I have already shared my screen with you, and I'm sure that you can see that, right? Yes, yes, girls. Okay, now I'm reading from here. He says, I had my passage on a little sea-going steamer. Her captain was a Swede, and knowing me for a seaman, invited me on the bridge. He was a young man, lean, fair, and morose, with lanky hair and a shuffling gait. As we left the miserable little wharf, he tossed his head contemptuously at the shore. Been living there? He asked. I said, yes. Fine lot, these government chaps, are they not? He went on speaking English with great precision and considerable bitterness. It is funny what some people will do for a, sorry, I just lost the page. It was page 22. Okay. It is 23. Yeah. Rocky slope. I will send your things up. 4 boxes. Did you say so? Farewell. Now he has met that Swede, okay, who was from Sweden. And after meeting him, they talk in English, which is again a strange thing for Marlowe. Remember one thing, language was one of the most important tool which was used by the colonizers to suppress the native nations. Okay, so that is why every post-colonial literature that we read, they focus on the use of English language as well. So now he has said goodbye to him. And then he said, I will send you your boxes, okay? Now Marlowe is going to tell us that what kind of people did he find. And it is here. My PDF is not working properly. Okay. So now he says, the thing looked as dead as the carcass of some animal. I came upon more pieces of decaying machinery. Now, these are the things that he can find. Now, remember, Marlowe has just reached Congo, okay? And he came down, he has met a Swede, and after talking to him now, he is giving us a description of the whole place. So what, the first thing that he has seen is what? It is a decaying machinery, which shows that the Europeans have sent very much good machinery for the natives, but it is not in a good condition. Rather, it is in a decaying condition. It is just kind of completely destroyed. And then
Ma'am,
he's saying a stack of rusty rails. To the left, a clump of trees made a shady spot where dark things seemed to stir feebly. I blinked. The path was steep. A horn tooted to the right, and I saw the black people run. A heavy and dull detonation shook the ground. A puff of smoke came out of the cliff, and that was all. No change appeared on the face of the rock. They were building a railway. The cliff was not in the way or anything, but these objectless blasting was
ma'am,
all the work going on. Now, one thing which is very much
ma'am,
important, probably, yes, please.
your voice is not audible.
My voice
I
is
think
not
there's a
audible to you.
connectivity issue.
Oh, I'm sorry for that. Just a minute, girls. Let me reconnect then. Okay. Am I not audible to any of you?
No,
No,
ma'am, you are audible.
मैम आपकी आवाज क्लियर आ रही है
No,
Is
ma'am,
it?
your voice is clear.
Okay. I
मैम
thought,
I think there is a problem in Shamala's Wi-Fi
okay, fine. Then you
or
should have
network.
told me, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, the things which he find is a lot of machinery which is in a decaying condition. And then he sees a group of Africans. He doesn't call them native people. Now, these are the adjectives or the words which were
Hello,
used
ma'am.
by Charles Marlowe.
Hello,
Yes, please.
ma'am.
Who is
Your
he?
voice is not audible.
Beta, there is a
Shamala, I think she should reconnect.
Okay, just text her, girls. I am
Okay,
not
ma'am.
audible to her. She cannot listen to me. Fine. Okay, so I was telling you that here Marlowe finds a group of people and also focus on the words that he uses for the Africans. Like, why is he calling them the black people? He says that I found a group of black people. He can use, and they are running. He can use, I found a group of people or native people, okay, by the use black. So it is showing that even Charles Marlowe, as a mouthpiece of Joseph Conrad, who is trying to show us the brutal side of the colonialism, himself is also using, this type of words like black people, okay? And then we find that those black people which he has found, they were six people. They were six people, all of them chained together. Now, chained from where? From their necks. And one's neck is changed and connected to the other one. And then other one's is changed, connected to the other one. And they are working in chains. Okay, which is not a human condition, which is a complete violation of the human rights. And who is making them work? They were overworked. Marlowe, this is just one glimpse which he finds there of these six people who were carrying a lot of stuff from one place to other place. Probably they were just carrying buckets, okay? And who was making them work? The Europeans, the English people. So this is another picture which shows that what type of power is exercised over the native in Congo, which is a part of Africa. Is it clear, girls? Anyone?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So can you relate this thing to the colonialism that has happened here? Though, of course, we have not seen it ourselves, but we have read books about that. We have seen different movies. We have watched movies. So any one of you, if you can relate this to that colonialism that is happening in this book, which is a representation of colonialism in Africa. Can you relate to it, or do you have any example that has happened in Indian subcontinent? Similar example.
No, ma'am.
Okay, you have not watched any movie, Indian movie that talks
Ma'am,
about.
there's connectivity issue. That's why we are unable to focus.
Is this
Ma'am,
again Shamala or someone else?
uh, uh, ma'am, there is too much like connectivity issue because your voice is not audible. And the second thing, suddenly we are leaving the meeting, and then again we reconnect it.
Okay,
Yes,
girls.
ma'am.
Okay. Okay, I think let me reconnect and check. If we find the problem again, then what I am going to do, I'll send you a recording of my lecture. Okay, I'll
Yes, ma'am.
record a lecture of today for you. Please turn off your microphones, put them on mute, everyone.
मैम स्क्रीन भी शेयर हो रहा है और आपकी आवाज भी आ रही है.
Yes, ma'am. Everything is good.
Yeah, the problem is
With some of the girls,
मैम
right?
शायद
Yes, ma'am.
मैम शायद उसका नेट स्लो होगा इसलिए.
ये कोई
मैम
एक
कुछ
बोल रहा है.
मैम क्योंकि
Okay.
हमारे पास स्क्रीन भी शो हो रही है, आपकी आवाज भी सही आ रही है. एवरीथिंग इज गुड.
परफेक्ट आपकी
Okay.
आवाज आ रही है.
Okay, thank you very much.
Ma'am,
Now,
can I ask one question?
yes,
Ma'am, can I ask
before
one
going to
question?
your question, just listen me for a while.
Okay.
Okay. The ones who have connectivity issue, okay, they can listen to my recording. It is many of my lectures, the ones which I have just delivered within these days, all are available on Dr. Fauzia's YouTube channel. Okay, I'll send you the link. So the ones who are having this issue, they just go, and then after a while, like probably after 2-3 hours, it will be available on YouTube. So you can listen to it. No
Okay, ma'am.
problem. Okay. Others who can listen to me, they should stay here, and then we will
Yes,
we will do this one part, the first part of this novel. Okay, someone
ma'am.
wanted to ask me a question, please.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask that Europeans को हम colonizers कहते हैं, right?
जी जी.
But हम Africans को क्या कहेंगे? जो कि colonized हो
Colonized,
चुके हैं.
beta, they are colonized.
Okay.
We call them the
Okay,
colonized ones, we call them natives. Okay. One thing more.
Okay.
One thing more that is important. Here again and again, when I talk about the colonizers, I call them Europeans. Remember one thing, that not only the Europeans were colonizers, but since we are talking about modern novel and the modern age, right? So at that time, they were the Europeans who were making different colonies all around the world, and specifically England. Okay, is it clear to you? And the ones who were colonized, they are natives and the colonized regions.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
We are running out of time in this meeting as well. So let me just summarize it quickly. Marlowe has reached there, okay? And I told you that the first encounter with the African, those 6 people who are changed with one another, and they are working, they are overworked, they are in a very, like in a situation that is as if they are ill, they are starving, and they are in a dark condition, okay? And Marlowe himself says that the Europeans or the colonizers were not treating them well. Now you remember one thing, that whose place is this? Africa belongs to whom? The Europeans or the Africans?
The
Ma'am,
European.
Africans.
The Africans. Then who is giving the Europeans so much power to treat the natives in this way?
Ma'am, also the Africans.
Sorry. It belongs, of
Africans.
course, to the Africans. Africans,
Yes. Ma'am, Africans allow Europeans to do this all stuff.
yes, Europeans somehow allow them, but sorry, the Africans somehow allow them, but the problem was that they used force, they used power. Okay, and we find that Africa is the part of like this place. Africa is always starving. We know all the time there are droughts. Okay, even a simple image of an African is as if he is too much poverty stricken. Okay, like someone who is all the time starving. So they were not having that much power. They used physical power over them to control them. And all this process has happened for greed. And Marlowe here, one thing more that is important in this part, that he finds many people here. Okay, one of them was an accountant. He calls them an accountant. Now, this accountant, the only work of this accountant is he's famous that always he wears dresses which are starched dresses. Okay, this is one of the characteristic of this accountant. And this accountant, all the time, he's busy making notes of what? Of the trade of Europeans, whatever they have received and how it is transported to Europe. And in this way, he is not only working to make money for Europe, but he is making money for himself as well. And Marlowe then encounters another person here who tells him that he is here only for making money. Okay. So each and every person that he encounters who is a European, they are all greedy. So material, Marlowe shows us, in other words, Conrad shows us that all these colonizers, the main aim was what? Greed. Each one of them wanted to make gold, wanted to make more and more money. They wanted to extract all the energies, resources, all the good things of Africa and export it to England. And this way, of course, England was flourishing, right? It was, Europe was flourishing because it was not only depending on its own resources, rather it was also depending on the resources of all the colonies that it was making in the world. So Africa and Congo was not the only colony at that time. We were also colonized in the same time period. The Arabs were also colonized, and Latin America was also colonized in the same time period. So Europe was taking all the resources from that. And this is what Marlowe is showing in the character of this accountant. So when he was talking to this accountant tells him that he also, he knows about a person who is a very significant person. He came as a worker, but now he has a very important seat and important position. Okay. And what is that position? He is in fact talking about Mr. Kurtz. Mr. Kurtz, he came as a trader to Congo, and he used to trade ivory and transport or export ivory to Europe. But living with the natives, he has declared himself someone like God. Okay, so this accountant is telling Marlowe about Mr. Kurtz. And then we find Marlowe that he leaves this place. Okay, this is the first station that he has come, but this is not the main station. He has to now travel to another
Excuse me,
station.
ma'am.
Okay, yes, please.
मैम यू सेड दैट के कर्ट्स जो है अपने आप को सुपीरियर फील करने लगा था,
Yes.
तो मैम उसका रीजन क्या था?
The reason is because he has power. The power is not a simple kind of power. They used to, Marlowe here shows us now that one glimpse of those Africans who were chained. They can work even otherwise, right? Why are they
Yes, ma'am.
changed like animals? They can carry the buckets from one place to the other place. Like
Oh.
6 people chained together and changed in their necks. If one is moving a little fast, the other is going to die, isn't
Yes,
it?
ma'am.
So
Yes, ma'am.
this type of power they are practicing there, and this type of
Okay, ma'am.
power that they consider the natives even, you know, least than the animals, as if they are not human beings but animals. So when someone is treating another group of human beings this way, of course he feels more powerful, and by becoming more and more and more powerful, he considered himself God. Okay, is
Yes.
it clear?
Yes,
Does
ma'am.
it
Thank
answer
you.
your question? Yes, anyone else? Someone else wanted to add something or ask a question, please?
मैम नेटिव्स आल्सो प्रोटेक्ट देम, मतलब जैसे ये आ रहे थे, मार्लो जैसे आ रहा था, तब नेटिव्स इनको प्रोटेक्ट करना चाह रहा था कर्ड्स को, मतलब कर्ड्स के वहां पे भी लोग काफी इनको सपोर्ट करते थे, वजह क्या थी उसकी?
Okay, the reason behind that, you know, there is a term that is, we call it native elite. Okay, the one
Yes.
who is native, who is from the locals, but he is elite. So the native elites were chosen by the Europeans. They trained them in a way, and they made them a representative of themselves. Okay, and this is human nature, that every human being wants to be with the party that is powerful. Okay, so these native people, they were not with their own native people, rather they were exercising the same power, you know, because if they are with the powerful group, they are also considered powerful. Okay, that is why some of the natives were also protecting the Europeans, like Marlowe is protected. Okay, is it clear now?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
that is the thing because of which this whole process of colonialism was possible. Otherwise, if the natives do not help them, like it was, if they all raise their voices against them, they resist, they fight with them, you know, then like the Europeans cannot rule them the way they have ruled them. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this was the first part, girls. Okay, I think it is till page number 30. Okay, from page 1 till page number 30 is almost the first part, when Marlowe comes here and he encounters some of the Africans, and he comes to the first station. Now from first station he is going to go to another station. Okay, so it is enough for today. Now I want you to discuss that why Joseph Conrad is using, he's very much aware that these colonizers or colonial powers are not doing something good in the colonies like Congo, but still he is using very negative words for the Africans. Why? Can you please answer this question?
Ma'am, can you please repeat
Ma'am,
this?
Yes, ma'am. Please
yes,
repeat your
ma'am.
question.
Okay, my
Yes.
simple question is, we say that Joseph Conrad's this novella is a deliberate writing. Okay, so
Yes,
when
ma'am.
he has deliberately written this novel and he wants to show us the brutal thing of